In the exact 2 seconds it took me to speak that opening sentence, um, your brain already subconsciously decided whether you were going to keep listening to this deep dive.
Yep. It's wild, but it's true.
Right. Like, you already decided if you were going to stick around or if you were going to, skip ahead or switch to something else entirely. 2 seconds.
That is the window.
Yeah. That is the biological window we have today to stop the modern human brain from getting distracted. It's a terrifying metric when you really think about it.
Oh, absolutely terrifying.
Because you could have the most profound, world-changing idea to share, but if you don't engineer those first 2 seconds correctly, literally no one is ever going to hear it.
No one. It's a critical survival skill in the modern economy, honestly.
Which is exactly what we are getting into today. We are looking at the actual blueprints of human attention.
And we're using some really fascinating source material for this.
Yes, we are unpacking a highly specific, tested collection of communication frameworks. Essentially, they're fill-in-the-blank templates.
Right, which sounds like a gimmick at first.
Exactly. Yeah. But rather than looking at these as, like, cheap social media tricks, our mission today is to understand them as actual blueprints for modern human psychology.
Because that's what they are. We are living in an era of absolute information overload.
Oh, for sure.
Getting someone to simply stop what they are doing and direct their focus toward you, that is a massive hurdle. I mean, it might be the hardest thing to do, period.
Yeah, whether you're, I don't know, pitching a new initiative in a boardroom or trying to get your team to actually read a company-wide email.
Good luck with that one.
Right. Or just attempting to be a more engaging storyteller at a dinner party. Understanding this architecture of attention, it's non-negotiable.
It really is. And the frameworks we're exploring today, they map out a complete end-to-end journey.
From the very first millisecond.
Exactly. They take you from that initial microscopic window of grabbing a viewer's eyeballs all the way down to the much slower, more deliberate process of earning their long-term trust and loyalty.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when you first encounter a list of fill-in-the-blank phrases, I mean, the immediate reflex is to just dismiss them.
Sure. They can feel generic.
Like marketing copy that we've all just become totally blind to. But when you really study the mechanics of a phrase, like one from the source here is, everyone told me this wouldn't work until it did.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at that, you start to see the gears turning underneath. These templates aren't just telling you what words to use.
No, they are revealing how the human brain processes and prioritizes incoming data.
Right. And to understand how we listen, we have to start at the absolute top of the funnel. Before you can teach anyone anything, you have to literally halt their physical momentum.
You have to force a pattern interrupt.
Exactly. You have to get them to stop scrolling or stop walking or stop spacing out in that Zoom meeting.
And the templates designed for this specific stage, they're built to operate entirely in that 2-second window you mentioned earlier.
The instant hooks.
Right. What's fascinating here is why these work so well. They rely on incredibly potent cognitive mechanisms, specifically curiosity gaps and challenging established assumptions.
Okay, give me an example from the list.
So consider the psychological weight of a phrase like, the advice I ignored for years and I regret it.
Oh,
yeah. Right. The moment you hear that, your brain is hit with a very specific, very sharp spike of anxiety.
It's FOMO, fear of missing out.
Exactly. You instantly think, wait, what advice? Am I ignoring that same advice right now?
Am I setting myself up for the exact same regret?
Yes. It taps into a deep-seated evolutionary desire to avoid pain and avoid making, avoidable mistakes.
It's basically the opening scene of a James Bond movie.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Think about it. They never start those movies with James Bond just sitting at a desk at MI6, filling out paperwork and explaining his backstory.
No, of course not.
The film starts mid-action. Usually there's a high-speed car chase, or he's in a chaotic fistfight on top of a moving train. It forcefully jolts the audience awake.
You are instantly leaning forward.
Right. You're asking, who is chasing him? Why is he on a train? What is in that silver briefcase?
The filmmakers deliberately create the question before they ever provide the answer.
And these verbal hooks seem to do the exact same thing, just with words. Like another one from the source, the myth about productivity that keeps most people stuck.
Yes.
Or what I was silently ruining my progress in, you're just dropping the audience into the middle of the tension.
And the underlying mechanism there is cognitive dissonance.
Okay, break that down for us.
So, the human brain craves closure. It actively seeks to resolve unanswered questions because, well, from an evolutionary standpoint, missing or hidden information was dangerous.
Like a predator in the tall grass.
Exactly. If there was a rustling in the bushes, our ancestors couldn't just ignore it. They had to know what was causing it if they wanted to survive.
So today, the rustling in the bushes is just a digital hook.
Right. It's the myth about your productivity that keeps you stuck. But the biological response is remarkably similar.
That's wild.
The brain literally cannot rest comfortably until it resolves that dissonance and discovers what that hidden truth is.
We are applying ancient survival hardware to like a Tuesday morning budget presentation.
Basically, yes.
I do struggle with this a bit, though.
How so?
Well, if I walk into a budget meeting and start my presentation with a highly engineered, super dramatic hook like, I thought our department would be stuck in this financial hole forever until I tried this one weird trick.
Right. People are going to roll their eyes.
Exactly. Doesn't this border on cheap clickbait? Like,
Yeah.
how do you balance using these incredibly aggressive psychological triggers to grab attention without completely eroding your professional credibility before you even start?
That is the line between manipulation and effective communication.
Okay.
And the difference lies entirely in the follow-through. A hook is nothing more than a promise.
Right.
Clickbait, on the other hand, is when you write a check that your content cannot cash. If you use a dramatic hook like, this simple adjustment changed everything, and then the adjustment you reveal is, I don't know, incredibly obvious or just totally useless.
Or drink more water.
Exactly. If you do that, you have destroyed your credibility. Yes, the hook got you the 2 seconds of attention, but you immediately lost their trust forever.
So the structural template itself isn't the problem.
No, it's the lack of substance behind it. A strong, provocative hook applied to genuinely valuable information is not clickbait.
You're actually doing them a favor.
You're cutting through the noise so they can clearly find the value you're offering.
Okay, but grabbing their attention for 2 seconds is actually kind of the easy part, right?
It's just the start.
The real danger is the 3-second mark.
Yeah.
If you've just jolted them awake with a wild claim or an open loop, how do you keep them from realizing you might just be full of hot air?
You have to immediately transition from grabbing attention to establishing authority.
Right. And surprisingly, when you look at the templates from the source designed to build that authority, it isn't about sounding like the smartest person in the room
Not at all.
or using big, complex jargon.
It's the exact opposite of using jargon. The mechanism for building authority relies on a very specific formula outlined here. Teaching plus simplifying.
Teaching plus simplifying equals authority.
Exactly. We have to remember the context of the modern listener. People are drowning in information, but they are absolutely starving for clarity.
They do not want you to hand them a textbook.
No, they want you to hand them a curated, safe path.
And the templates for this are incredibly practical. Things like how to start this process without getting overwhelmed, or another one from the list, the biggest trap for beginners in this field and how to avoid it.
Notice how none of those say, let me explain the complex theoretical underpinnings of my unparalleled genius.
Right. They're all focused on removing friction.
By offering something like, the beginner's guide I wish I had, you are positioning yourself as a benevolent guide.
You're saying, I've been there.
You're subconsciously telling the listener, I have already walked through this dark, confusing forest. I survived, I learned where the traps are, and now I am coming back to show you the safest route.
Wow. And that builds immense authority.
In a high-information world, authority isn't about hoarding knowledge or showing off how much you know. It's about filtering out the noise for someone else.
You are reducing your cognitive load.
Precisely. When people feel overwhelmed by a task, they experience decision fatigue and paralysis. The person who steps in and provides the antidote to that paralysis instantly becomes the trusted authority figure.
It's like handing someone the edge pieces of a 1,000-piece puzzle first.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Rather than just dumping the entire box upside down on the table, mixing it all around and saying, good luck, figure it out.
Right.
You are giving them the borders. You are giving them a safe, defined place to start. A template like the 3-step method I use to simplify my mornings acts as those edge pieces.
And by giving them those edge pieces, you are proving your competence. You can't simplify a complex topic unless you deeply understand it.
That's so true.
Simplification is the ultimate proof of mastery.
I do want to push back on one specific template here, though.
Go for it.
The phrase, my exact workflow for this task, and you can copy it.
Ah, yes.
I hear this kind of language a lot now, and it always strikes me as counterintuitive. Like, if you hand your clients or your audience or your competitors the exact step-by-step recipe for how you do your job.
Haven't you just made yourself obsolete?
Yeah. If they can just copy it, why do they need you?
It's a very common fear, and it speaks to what we can call the paradox of teaching.
Okay.
Intuitively, our instinct is to protect our intellectual property. We think holding onto our secrets is what makes us valuable.
Right. I know something you don't know.
But in practice, giving away the recipe is the exact thing that proves you are the master chef. Think about the culinary world. A Michelin-starred chef can publish a beautifully photographed cookbook containing all of their exact, highly guarded recipes.
All right.
Does publishing that book empty out their restaurant? Does everyone stay home and cook it themselves?
No, of course not. It usually creates like a 6-month waiting list to get a table.
Because seeing the recipe makes you realize how hard it is to execute perfectly.
Exactly. You read the 40 steps for a sauce and go, nope, I'm just going to pay them to do it.
Exactly. By showing the exact workflow, you demonstrate a level of transparency and unshakable confidence that builds massive trust.
You're saying, I'm so good at this, I can show you exactly how I do it, and I'm still not worried about you replacing me.
And the reality is, most people are not going to execute the workflow themselves. They don't have the time, the resources, or the underlying skill.
Yeah.
They will read your exact workflow, realize how much expertise it actually takes, and then they will just hire you, or follow you, or buy your product, because you've definitively proven that you know exactly what you are doing.
So they trust you. They see you as the guide who survived the forest. But a trusted guide doesn't necessarily get their message spread across the world.
No, that's the next step.
Right. How do you go from being trusted by one person to becoming indispensable to many? You have to give them a tool they can actually pick up and use today
Yes.
that shifts the communication from establishing authority to creating digital currency.
Digital currency in the form of saves and shares.
Let's talk about that.
When we talk about generating a save or a share, we aren't just talking about vanity social media metrics. We are talking about the ultimate real-world measurement of utility.
Okay.
When someone saves your idea, whether they bookmark an email or screenshot a presentation slide, they are saying, this is so highly functional, I need to keep it for my future self.
Right.
And when they share it, they are using your idea to build their own social capital with their friends or colleagues.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at how these templates actually mint that currency. They use phrasing like, the 10-minute routine that changed how I approach my day, or how to cut your meeting time in half without losing quality. These are highly functional, pocket-sized tools.
Very practical.
It's basically a Swiss Army knife. A good tip or hack is compact, it fits right in your pocket, and the moment you use it to effortlessly open a bottle or fix a loose screw, what do?
You show someone.
You instantly turn to the person next to you and say, hey, look at this cool little trick. You want to share it because being the bringer of clever, practical solutions raises your own status in the group.
And the language in these templates is meticulously designed to promise efficiency.
Cutting time in half.
Right. The easiest way. A 10-minute routine. You are tapping into a universal, modern human condition. We are all chronically time poor.
We are so tired.
We are all exhausted. We all desperately want the shortcut. By lowering the barrier to entry with words like shortcut or simple, you make the action feel inevitable.
You bypass the brain's resistance to taking on new, difficult tasks. I have to ask about one specific phrase that shows up in this category, though, because it feels like a contradiction.
Which one?
The lazy way I organize my life, but it works.
Ah.
Why does admitting to laziness actually work as a selling point? I mean, in almost any professional, corporate, or educational setting, being called lazy is the ultimate insult.
Yeah.
It's the one thing you're supposed to hide at all costs. So why does that hook work?
It works precisely because it is taboo, and because it entirely removes the intimidation factor.
How so?
Well, if you present a hyper-optimized, perfectly disciplined 4.00 a.m. ice bath productivity system.
Ugh, just hearing that makes me tired.
Right. The average tired listener is going to look at that and feel completely alienated. They will say, I don't have the energy, the discipline, or the time for that.
Yeah, their brain just rejects it.
Because the cognitive cost of implementation is just too high. But when you frame your solution as the lazy way, you are making it incredibly accessible.
No, it's
You are actively acknowledging their exhaustion. It's a psychological wink to the audience that says, look, I know we are all burning out. I know the demands on our time are unrealistic. So here is the absolute bare minimum effort that still yields incredible results.
It validates their lived reality instead of shaming them for not working harder.
Exactly. It's empathy disguised as a hack.
Which brings us to a fascinating pivot.
Yes, the final stage.
Hooks get the eyeballs, the how-tos build the trust, the hacks and the lazy ways get the shares.
Right.
They all sound incredibly effective, but they also sound a bit mechanical.
Transactional even.
Yeah. I give you a tip, you give me your attention, it's an exchange of utility. But a transaction doesn't sound like a solid foundation for actual deep loyalty.
It's not.
To turn a passing listener into a devoted long-term advocate, you have to transition from the mechanical to the emotional.
This raises an important question. How do you anchor the relationship? Up until this point, the frameworks have been about positioning you above the listener.
Yeah.
You are the guide. You are the provider of the hack.
You have the answers.
The final architectural blueprint flips that dynamic entirely.
Right.
It's about storytelling and mindset. And the explicit goal is to show your human side and connect on a deeper peer-to-peer level.
This is where you move from being an authority figure to being a relatable human being.
Yes.
The tone of these templates shifts completely from the previous lists. You go from, my exact workflow to things like the day I almost quit this industry but didn't.
A very different vibe.
Or no one talks about how lonely leadership can feel sometimes. And this one, which I think is so incredibly resonant right now, how I manage burnout while still trying to build my career. You are deliberately stripping away the facade of perfection.
Because perfection, while it might look really good on paper, is fundamentally alienating.
Yeah.
If you only ever present your victories, your optimized workflows, and your brilliant insights, people might respect you, but they won't feel connected to you.
They'll feel intimidated.
Exactly. When you use a template like, I used to think this was selfish, now I see it as self-care, or admitting a failure, you replace that alienation with relatable struggle.
You are giving the listener permission to be messy and imperfect too.
Yes.
It's the difference between reading a cold clinical recipe out of a book versus cooking in the kitchen with your grandmother.
I love that.
The recipe book just gives you raw data, 2 cups of flour, 1 egg, bake at 350 degrees.
It's useful, sure.
Right. But your grandmother tells you about the time she dropped the cake on the floor right before a major holiday dinner.
Oh, no.
And how she panicked, and how you have to fold the dough gently so it doesn't get tough. One is just a sterile transfer of information. The other is a shared, deeply human experience.
And that shared experience builds a profound level of psychological safety. The template, what I tell myself when I want to give up, is incredibly powerful.
Because it acknowledges the struggle.
Yes. It acknowledges that the desire to give up is a normal, universal human emotion. It validates the listener's hidden doubts. By saying, I feel this too, you dissolve the barrier between the speaker and the audience.
And I have to bring this up. We have all seen the dark side of this.
Oh, absolutely.
We've all scrolled through a professional networking site and seen those overly dramatic posts.
The crying CEO selfie.
Yes, the crying selfie. The incredibly personal story that feels like it has absolutely no business being shared in a public forum.
Right.
How do you use a framework like how I turned my worst moment into my biggest motivation without crossing that fine line into emotionally manipulative oversharing?
It's a tricky balance.
Because when it feels engineered to just harvest sympathy, it is deeply uncomfortable to watch.
It's incredibly uncomfortable,
Right.
and it destroys trust instantly. The danger of using a vulnerability template is that if it isn't grounded in genuine authenticity and service, it feels parasitic.
Parasitic, what?
Yeah. The golden rule of professional vulnerability is this. You share the scar. You do not share the open wound.
Share the scar, not the wound. That is a crucial distinction.
Yes. You share the failure only after you have processed it, healed from it, and extracted the universal lesson.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you are currently in the middle of a crisis, just bleeding on the stage and demanding the audience hold your emotional weight, people will naturally recoil,
I feel like a burden.
and it
Yeah.
feels manipulative. But if you share the worst moment, retrospectively, specifically to highlight the mindset shift that followed, then the vulnerability serves a distinct purpose.
It's in service to the listener.
Exactly. It's in service to the listener's growth, not just your own ego or your need for validation. You are saying, I suffered through this so that I could hand you the lesson I learned.
Okay, let's unpack this. So what does this all mean? If we step back and look at this entire structure we've just gone through, the journey is brilliant in its psychological design.
It really is an architecture.
First, you halt their momentum and hook them with a sharp pattern interruption, utilizing cognitive dissonance to demand those first 2 crucial seconds.
The hook.
Then, you immediately build authority by acting as a filter, simplifying their overwhelm and proving you can guide them safely.
The how-to.
Next, you provide immense, highly functional value with practical shortcuts and lazy hacks that fit effortlessly into their daily, exhausted lives.
Minting that digital currency.
Generating shares, exactly. And finally, you solidify that entirely transactional relationship into lasting loyalty by taking off the armor, sharing your scars, and revealing your own messy human struggles.
And the beauty of this architecture is its immediate practical application. You don't need a massive platform or millions of followers to use this.
No.
You could audit your own daily communication right now. Look at your next presentation or an upcoming pitch, or even a difficult email you have to
I hate
send.
to look at what you're writing.
Ask yourself, which of these 4 structural pillars am I missing? Are you giving your team nothing but practical hacks and workflows, but absolutely no human heart or vulnerability?
Well, hacks, no heart.
Right. Or are you telling a deeply resonant, vulnerable story, but you completely forgot to engineer a hook, so nobody is actually listening to you in the first place?
A truly effective communicator understands that you need the complete blueprint. You have to balance all 4 elements. It is a phenomenal toolkit for navigating an increasingly noisy world. But I want to leave you with a final, somewhat provocative question to ponder as you go about your week.
Let's hear it.
If our modern communication is becoming so deeply engineered around these highly effective, fill-in-the-blank psychological triggers,
Right, it is.
are we slowly training our brains to only respond to formulas?
Oh, wow.
Right. And if we are, what happens to the messy, sprawling, incredibly nuanced ideas that are profoundly important to society, but just don't fit neatly into a 2-second hook or a 10-minute hack?
That's a scary thought.
Will we lose the patience to listen to anything that hasn't been perfectly optimized for our dopamine receptors? It's something to think about the next time you feel yourself instantly, almost automatically, clicking on a catchy title or a dramatic hook. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of attention. We'll see you next time.